Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
What time is it?
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Now Myers to win the league, yes!
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Werewolves of London.
Cannonball!
Oh, you guys on the 40 minutes?
Hey?
You guys on the 40-minute Zooms?
Yeah, we don't pay for Zoom. Good God, no. Needed a GoFund just to pay for the website. That's not a joke either, we did. Well,
No,
hello
that's-
and welcome. You ready? Should we go?
Yeah, good to go.
I might leave this in just for a laugh. Well, hello and welcome to the Below the Rim show, a show dedicated to the BBL. It's me, Pabs. I'm joined, as always, by my main man, Ads. How are you, sir?
Good. Buzzing to be joined by a bit of a ledge tonight.
We certainly are. And it's not the next one. That, of course, is the brave-hearted Mr. Grant Young.
I'm always here now. I was part of the B team last season. I'm now part of the A team.
Resident legend.
Resident,
His
yeah.
face is now on the website, I have to say as well, which is good.
Shout out to Mark Campbell for the photos.
Yeah, there you go. And we are joined, indeed, by a BBL legend, by some BBL, heritage. I don't know. It doesn't seem old enough. It's like we say with LVC Dusha. He's probably the youngest veteran there is. It is, of course, the one and only Mr. Johnny Bunyan. Welcome to the show.
Hi guys, welcome. It's an interesting intro. I don't really know what's right and what's wrong there. I know Grant's not a legend yet, but I'm not sure about anything else.
I tell
So
you what it
welcome
is.
to the show. Go on.
Certain teams, though, right? You just think of certain people. Like, you think Manchester Giants, you think Callum Jones, you think James Jones, you think that. When you think of Glasgow, Caledonia, whoever you are this season, you think of Kieran Achara, you think of Gareth Murray, and you think of Johnny Bunyan.
Of course.
It's simple as that. You know what I mean? Part of the furniture up there, bro.
Well, that's
Part of the
perfect.
wall. Yeah.
That's perfect for me. Not stuff on the court is great, but just to know that you're part of a good organisation, that means a lot to me. So that's nice to hear.
Well,
Sure.
first and foremost, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. You're going to be a panelist this evening. Nicholson's not here, obviously, because I think Nicholson's shying away a little bit because there's a lot to discuss with the Antonio Williams business. But how you doing? First of all, how are you doing? How's your season? You enjoying the season so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Grant will tell you, like any rock season, gladiator season, whatever you want to call it, it's never consistent. There's ups and downs, and there's a lot of things that happen, and the season is definitely no exception. You know, we've got a rebranding, name change, players injured, guys with foots getting infected and exploding. Like it's been another crazy season for us, and we got a little bit of momentum, I think, when we started to get some of those home games, which we needed. And right now we're in another little bit of a slump, 3-game losing streak. So yeah, it's non-stop up here, but we're just trying to right the ship and get it going this kind of first season as the Gladiators.
It wouldn't be the same, though, without some sort of turmoil or injuries or illnesses or anything.
No, it wouldn't. People thrive in adversity, and if there's anything that me and Gareth have been through in all these years, it's a little bit of adversity. So that's what we like.
What's it like having him as a coach? Has he made that transition? I mean, from our perspective, he's made that transition seamlessly. Has it been like that for you guys?
No. No, like, I mean, it's so difficult. It's probably one of the more difficult things about my career that's happened is watching a guy that you have so much history with. You've been on trips with. I've been to Australia with him. I've been across the world with him. Like, I've done the dumbest stuff you can imagine with him. We used to be in William Hill after training for like 3 hours on the roulette machines with this guy. Like, we've done a lot of crazy stuff, and then suddenly he's like the guy in charge, and he's the guy I answer to on a day-to-day basis, and it's a big transition for me. But he's actually, I think this season he's really getting it. Taking away that player stuff has helped him so much.
Is he harder on you because of what you've done?
Yeah.
I don't get it as bad as Fraser gets it. It's not great with me, but if anyone cops it the worst, it's definitely Fraser.
Is that why you've grown the beard this season as well?
No, this is probably going in the next couple of days, Grant.
Yes.
This is going in the next couple of days, I reckon.
It's a shame because there's a real trend of beard going on up there in Scotland.
Really is. It really is. It was pointed out a few times at the game on Sunday to me. People were like, "What's with the beard thing in Glasgow?" I'm like, "I don't know, but it's cool as fuck, whatever it is."
Me and Joe Hart gravitate towards you guys.
Joe's got a nice beard that I would happily take Joe off your hands anytime and get him back up here. But no, now that Daryl's back as the assistant coach as well, his beard kind of outdoes mine. So I don't think I can compete with Gareth and Daryl right now. So I think I'll take it away pretty soon.
Good look. As you can see, I'm a fan. Right, well, we've got plenty to get on with. We'll do predictions and BTR5 like we normally do at the end. We've got a load of questions, so I'm tempted to dive into those first and kind of maybe it'll bring up topics, but we probably need to address Antonio Williams leaving. Not just because I'm a Patriots fan, but because we were trying to get across on the broadcast as well, because he very kindly came up and we did an interview with him during the St Mirren game during the last quarter, and I think it's quite big in terms of him leaving, in terms of the rest of the league as well, because he had fans and probably some enemies as well, countrywide. Like people would come to watch Antonio Williams, and rightly so. He's one of those guys, and I think PJ alluded to it when he did his pre-game. He's a rarity. It's along the same lines as Gino. Like what he did, came in, took the Patriots from eighth. Took the Patriots from last place to eighth after not winning a single game, and did that. And 99% of the feedback has been positive, and rightly so, because the terms he's left on are really good. He was down there at Pavilions at the St Mirren game on Saturday night, signing autographs, saying his goodbyes, and they gave him a standing ovation as well. But some of the feedback has been negative, more towards contracts and how contracts work, and the lack of transparency. Really, I suppose we don't know what money's changed hands and whatnot. But I wanted to know what you guys kind of thought on it. Ad, you first of all, because I know you're an Antonio Williams fan.
Yeah, I'm a big Antonio Williams fan. He's a great player, and from the minute he joined the league, it was a good thing. I mean, the guy that you had before him, Ricky McGill, became one of my favourite players, and it was going to be a big ask to replace him, and then he kind of did it, and he's been great.
Yeah.
I was really surprised, though, because I tuned into some of the St Mirren game, and I was really surprised when I suddenly heard you and Antonio talking away. And I was like, that's really cool that he's kind of doing that. But then the sort of podcaster journalisty part of me started going, but are the fans going to appreciate that? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, he's obviously been offered more money and a better gig over there is it Iceland he's going to?
Yeah, KR Basket, yeah.
So, and I've seen some of the things on social media about some of the fans have been a bit negative about it all, haven't they?
There's been a couple, yeah.
Personally, I like that he came on and he had a chat because he sounded like really genuine about how much he loved being in Plymouth and loved the guys and everything. But it's just that tough thing that we always have to acknowledge that for these guys, it's what they do for a living. Yeah. So, if we get offered a great job, earning a lot more money than we're earning now, we change our career, not our careers, but we change our jobs. For a ball player, it's different because you're kind of tied into that thing of it's a specific amount of time.
Yeah.
So you've got a season. So part of you thinks, I wish you'd have seen the season out and then done it. But then at the same time, from his point of view, you kind of get it. So I was a bit sort of like, oh, that's really cool that he's doing that. And I thought, but I don't know how that's going to go down with the fans. I mean, you're on the front line with everything down there, Pabs. How do people react to him coming on with you?
Oh, 100% positive.
Yeah?
Yeah, nothing but love for the guy. Especially when he said he's staying in the group chat with the players and he's going to get on them if they don't play well. I particularly enjoyed that. Grant, my man?
I think when you ever see a guy leave a league where he makes an impact, different. A total competitor in terms of how he plays on the line, gets in people's faces. I'm sure Johnny will agree with that one. He's very much someone that's always in your face and doesn't mind messing with the kind of bigger players on the court as well. So I think it's a miss for the league, but it also shows still where the BBL is compared to other leagues, that a team from probably a league of the same, if not lesser standard, is able to come in and steal a kind of prize asset. I believe that's like they're the biggest paying team in Iceland, so you'll be on a fairly big pay packet out there. And you just hope that Antonio might come back someday to the league or go on. And I'd probably say it's a bit different to Gino. Gino's gone on and played in a better league, like a clearly better league. Whereas I almost feel this is Antonio moving sideways and rightfully so, getting paid more money.
Mr. Bunyan, sir? Let's get the player's perspective on it.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack whenever a player leaves a team. Like, I've been around it quite a lot, and I would definitely, the one thing I would say for sure is that him coming on that game was pretty good. I don't think that's a thing that could be replicated by a lot of players or teams around the league. And I think that kind of differs with the team. Like, from what I know very little of the Plymouth fans, they are very loyal and they are diehard. Whereas I think there are probably other teams in the league who would have a situation with a player being poached away, lured away, whatever word you want to use, and they might have their backs up a bit with that, and maybe even with the player themselves, in my opinion. But as a player, he's, as I think tenacious is the right word. Decision making, I would question quite a lot, but tenacious for sure. It's not like he's a player you look forward to playing against, because he's going to be running fast, jumping high, and trying to get in your face. So great player, but at the end of the day, you're going to find it difficult to hold on to players who are getting lured away with more money in other leagues. It's always going to be an issue, and whether it's done in the correct way or whether that's done kind of in a forcing out way, that can be the big difference. And thankfully, it sounds like this has been very amicable, which is what you want.
Yeah, because Johnny, I suppose, has thrown it way back. Like, you'll remember how, I don't mind mentioning the player because it was almost 10 years ago, Marcus Ware left the Rocks.
Yeah, like that was kind of what I'm saying, kind of a little bit more on the force out kind of thing, which wasn't great for the club and certainly for the owner. So yeah, that's the other side of things, I guess.
So, I mean, regarding the contract stuff, I don't like it. I said it when Gino went. I don't like it that they've got these clauses, but obviously the best players do, because like Ad said, it's your livelihood. You've got a limited amount of time you're going to be doing it. You want to make it pay for as long as you possibly can. So I get it, but the questions from some of the negative questions from the fans were, "Oh, I bet no money's changed hands. He just went away and he just got offered more money and left." And it's just, I mean, I think the proof that Juwan Daniels has been signed. There's another signing coming as well that looks to be a very good prospect.
Nicholson's not on today. You could tell us and he won't know till tomorrow morning.
They're not announcing it till tomorrow. So we're recording this Monday night. They're not announcing it till Tuesday night. So when I've done the report for it. But he's good.
Ronnie's going to be straight into the group chat. The Gladiators being like, "Oh, Pats have signed this player."
But money changed hands. There was a buyout clause. As simple as that. They had to reach the buyout clause for him to go. Otherwise, the club wouldn't let him go. He's too valuable. He's too good. But we never get specifics on these things. I don't know why people are so surprised. We never find out how much money exchanges hands. We never find out how long contracts are for. Not since Ads, you remember the mid-90s, you'd maybe hear so-and-so breaking the $100,000 barrier or something, but and there was a trade once that was $95,000, I think, and I forget who it was. I don't think it was Amici, but it was somebody of note.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like in this country, basketball is such a weird thing that money, it's like you can't talk about money.
No,
never mention money.
Weird,
whereas, the first thing in the NBA, the first thing that ESPN usually report on is how much the contract's worth. Because it's usually, if it's a big one, it's broken a record or it's just something insane, you know what I mean? So I've always wondered what the hush-hush policy about money is with players' salaries in in the BBL. I mean, guy, if you go onto there's websites in the States, especially for the NFL, where it gives you a breakdown per player as to who. In fact, they do it here with Premier League teams as well, and you actually get a breakdown from top to bottom as to who earns what and what bonuses they get.
But we never got it here, even when we had a salary cap.
But it's also because if people actually realised how little some of these guys are getting paid,
it's probably that, and especially now. I mean, this was going to be a question for Johnny later on, but especially now that you've got London splashing the cash, and we've all got info on what sort of money players are earning and stuff like that. So, Johnny, what I was going to ask you was, when you guys, because you'll obviously hear what some of the salaries that these guys are getting down there, are you just sort of looking around the locker room at each other going, you know what I mean? Because it's just crazy.
I mean, there are a lot of things I can speak for a long time on, and this is one of them. I'll try not to, but
do it.
You guys kind of got there eventually. You nailed it. It's like, in terms of figures being reported, like if I could take you back 8 years and I said to you, here, do you want to hear about Johnny Bunyan signing for the Glasgow Rocks in his third year for £400 a month? Doesn't sound as sexy as a £500 million player. Like, these things, it's completely irrelevant to anybody, and it's not like they're multi-year contracts or 8-month contracts. Or what does he do in the off season? Nothing. He's not making any money. He's living with his mum and dad. Like, that's the reason in my opinion, that's one of the reasons these things aren't discussed, reported, whatever. It's not appealing to most people, and to be honest, it wouldn't be appealing to me as a player. Like, do I want people in other teams knowing that I'm playing for nothing? Like, not really. Like you said, I think the league is growing to a place where that might actually be a bit more realistic, especially when you have the teams like London, and hopefully I know that's kind of the prospects of what the Gladiators want to turn themselves into is that kind of level of London and all that stuff. So it will probably be something that might be realistic in a few years' time, but up till the point that I've been involved with, there's nothing appealing about that to anyone,
No, that's fair.
But yeah, in terms of actually seeing the new money, if you like, coming into the league, it's, on one hand, it's exciting for everything that I hope the league could become one day. On the other hand, it's like, why did this not happen to me 7 years ago? But at the same time, like, let's all be realistic. No one's paying me five grand a month to play basketball, and no one ever would have. So it balances itself out. It's good to see it, but you got to be realistic as well.
I don't know. I think you could get there.
Oh, I mean, at this age, with these ankles, I don't know. We'll try.
But you say that though, Johnny, but I bet the guy in your position in London is earning 4 figures a month.
Yeah.
I heard one the other day about a salary of a guy that's not even playing that much, and I was like, and this is like a young guy that may make the 12 now and again, but doesn't, but is still earning 4 figures every month.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's London though. London have taken the whole thing to a new level, and that's financially, that's way more. Even though they're, you can see the court stuff and you can compare on the court with Leicester, are still, in my opinion, until London have the sweeps and the trebles and the quadruples and all that stuff. Like, Leicester are the team in the league; they're the number one top dogs. Before that, it was Newcastle. And even their financial disparities between the teams back then is nothing compared to what London have now made the bridge, or the gap, if you like. They've pushed it to another world. So it's going to be a while before any of the teams can even think about catching up to that.
Anything else on that one, fellas?
I think Johnny's just made a good point there about, like, for teams to aspire, and obviously the Gladiators are talking about trying to copy that north of the border, but these things all take time. London have been 777 have been around now for a couple of seasons around London. It's probably only this season, okay, with the salary cap disappearing, that you're noticing this kind of disparity. And one thing that a few people commented me on, it was a point yesterday, I think, where Johnny, I think it was you, Kyle, Fraser, Pat, and I can't think who the fifth guy was, but every one of their guys was at least 6'7" plus.
Mm.
And you're like, these guys are all international players. These guys are all, well, not all, but two of them are ex-NBA guys. And for getting those guys in, that's where the levels is at times. But what I think it was brilliant about the game yesterday, Johnny, and I tweeted it out, but at one point there was 5 British guys in the court, 4 Scottish guys and Oscar on. And at that point in the game, it was probably the best moment, some of the best moments in the game, actually, from a type of end-to-end stuff.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's the kind of the constant curse, if you like, of Rocks or some other teams around the league, is that a lot of the time your British players, your Scottish players, whatever they are, they know the game really well, they know each other really well, and you know they're going to go out onto the court and like they'll bleed on the court for whatever club they're playing for, like, and they'll do it every single game. But they might be lacking in, height, they might be lacking in athleticism, they might be lacking in speed. And
I saw you touch the net yesterday, Johnny.
I did. Did you see me? I grabbed the net as it was caught in the rim. It's the first time I've in my life.
What? Was there a wedgie?
No, it was not that bad. It wasn't that high. It was just the net caught on the rim. It wasn't quite a wedgie.
We were trying to work out. There may only have been one wedgie this season so far. I don't know if that's true.
I don't think I've seen any in our games, to be honest.
We had a target for 20. I don't think we're going to get there.
Did David not have one the other week, actually?
He might have.
Well, if any listeners can point us in the direction of another wedgie, I need to, because they don't list them on the live
stats.
With the time. It's just been missed shot, and I'm not looking through all the missed shots.
Yeah, but and then a lot of the time your imports are the guys that do have those traits, those qualities, but they maybe don't have the link, the tie-in, the kind of grit and determination to the club, and the teams that are successful usually find that balance. That's why I think, to be honest, that's actually what I think makes London so different this year, is that coach has managed to get all these high quality star players who I'm sure have their own egos, but they all actually buy into playing team basketball, which is the biggest difference that I've seen between them and previous versions of London, is their commitment to playing for each other. I think makes it a big difference.
It makes them incredibly hard to break down.
But also really annoyingly good to watch all the time.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to watch them. Like the guy actually like just watching him warm up is the guy Fruban. Like,
that's phenomenal.
He just doesn't miss.
Yeah, he's the one that Josh Bett told us. Really watch out for this guy, because this guy.
He took offence to me saying, "Will he be able to do it on a cold Tuesday night in Cheshire?" And he didn't like that. Josh didn't.
Right, fellas, let's. We've got some questions from the fans. Before we get to that, just very quickly, and we've got. We can't do an even vote, because obviously we've got 2 Caledonia guys and 1 Manchester Giants guy there. But the question is, block or goaltend? Grant, my man, everybody must know what we're talking about. We clipped it at the end and put it out on Twitter. But whether or not Taj Green hit the ball before the ball hit the bat, whatever it was it a block or was it a goaltend? Obviously, it was a no call on the play, and it was game over. It was a really entertaining game. It was a close game. Dirk Williams hit a couple of big threes towards the end of that one and pulled it out of the bag. But go on, Grant, my man, I know what you're going to say.
I mean, I've watched it, and I watched our slow-mo, and it's slowly changed my opinion. But at the time, I was outraged it wasn't called. I was like, that's a goaltend all day. I actually think there was probably a worse one in the game yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Johnny's slightly nodding, but do you not remember the first quarter?
I remember the first quarter, but I can't actually remember who it was, but no. I know what you're talking about.
At the time, I was like, goaltend. I've watched it back, and there might be like one of those ones where the camera, if you take a picture one side of the next frame, it's a goaltend. The frame before, it's a clean block. That game's never going to change on that. And I'm sure Johnny will probably say it. Probably shouldn't have got to that point.
Well, questions were raised regarding the referees, and we've got a question on referees later on, so we won't talk too much about it. But there was a few instances where calls weren't made, the wrong call was made. Mainly that calls weren't made for things that were blatantly obvious. But so I couldn't get the gist there. Are you going goaltend or are you going block?
I'm going to have to back up what I said on the day. I'm going to still say goaltend, but
Johnny?
I'm not known for I'm not known for being biased. So after watching multiple replays, I unfortunately think it may have been a block.
There we go. It's so close to call, though, isn't it?
I think it was literally with whatever the smallest unit of measurement is, milliseconds, centimeters, millimeters, whatever you want to call it. I think it was very
As we
close.
call it, a ball here.
A ball hair, if you want, yeah.
I'm all.
Depends on how depends on much ball hair you have, but
Ads, my man.
Well, as it happens, I had the perfect view of it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I was like halfway up the bleacher, sort of level with the basket when it happened. And obviously, when the whole crowd is jumping up going, oh, yeah, because it looked like it's such a sick block, you're looking at it going, that looked clean to me. Now, I'm watching the slow. I've not seen the slow-mo that you posted, actually, I'll be honest with you. And I've just literally paused it. And it's like Johnny said, my God, if ever there was like the smallest measurement of whatever it is. But what I will say is if you hit pause at the exact moment, the ball is still seemingly going up when he gets his fingertip on it. So I'm going clean. And I'm not just doing it because obviously I'm Giants, but to me, that looks fair game.
We need that Jason Bourne kind of zoom in satellite imagery that you can clean up and make it HD, because it's so... It looks like a phantom swat when you watch it in slow motion.
Well, it looks like his fingers miss it completely.
Well, I think he's getting. I thought he got a fingertip just for his touch board. I go block as well.
Because the ball wouldn't move the way it moves if he didn't. So
the weird thing is, if you look at that thread, most of the people on the thread, I think, say goaltend.
It's goaltend, which I find really strange because I didn't. Yeah. I looked at it and I thought block. So I don't know.
Straight, I thought it was weird. They all say goaltend. They all say no. A lot say no call.
Were you on the floor when it happened?
No, I was on the bench. Gareth doesn't play me in the final minutes of the game.
Okay.
Bit harsh, isn't it?
I thought that would give everyone.
Never be out of call from down there on the bench, but like I say,
I mean, I would love to say if it was in Scotland we'd get the call, but it's not true either. So,
yeah. I made a comment last night and I got a good response where I was sitting. The foul you got called for when you and Josh Ward-Hibbert were on the floor, mate, I couldn't believe that call. But also, I made the comment in the stand being like, Ian McDonald doesn't even get that call wrong.
There's no point, Grant, because that would send me over the edge talking about that in a game that was already over. The most pointless call that's ever been made.
Oh, it was horrific.
We'll build that. We'll bring that up, the referee's question, in a bit. We've got a question that's relatively topical, I guess, from Mark. BBL trophy. Is it time to stop what seems to be an experiment, i.e. inviting Welsh team, what's he put there? Welsh team and St Mirren, who will evidently be he's used the word obliterated. I don't know if he wrote the piece for the BBL before it got taken down. Should it be NBL and BBL only in an FA Cup kind of system? I mean, what do we think, fellas? Because I kind of get the angle of it, because it was a tough game to sit through, the St Mirren game, and up till half time it was relatively competitive, and Ali Aliverdi looked very impressive. Of course, was played in the Asia Cup and under 20s for Iran, and was incredibly good as a youngster. Put 20 up against China, I think, in the under 20s World Cup qualifiers. And of course, Chris Cleary just was so clever and looked like he could mix it with the best of them. But yeah, it became a tough watch as it went on. So I get, and traditionally the Welsh team as well has suffered the same defeat. Whereas NBL teams very often progress. They cause an upset. At least one team will cause an upset and make it through to the next round. What do we think? Go on, Grant. You're poised.
So, I'm poised because I'm going to have to come out and defend the Scottish teams. I think if you look at the draw, that's 2 times in a row that they've had to, or close enough 2 times that either, I think it's Plymouth twice actually. Did Plymouth not come up to, was it Falkirk, Johnny?
No, Falkirk played Cheshire last year in St Mirren played Plymouth this year, and I think the year before that, Dunfermline went to Newcastle, maybe.
So I also think especially like 2 points, it's interesting hearing, like, I'm not a massive follower of like Scottish Basketball League nor NBL, but I also would love to see more of the Scottish teams play against the NBL teams, because I don't think take some of the top teams out of the NBL, but if the top 4 or 5 teams in the NBL getting on, teams like Boroughmuir Blaze would probably beat some of them this season. So I think it's one of these ones where if you either have it for the whole of Britain or you have it for none of it.
Fair. Johnny?
A little bit torn.
Fair, yeah.
A little bit torn, because I actually don't really see who it hurts to have this happen. Like who does it hurt? A lot of the, like, I know from my own dad, obviously, I know from knowing Chris and the Basketball Paisley guys, and like, they don't view it as I don't know, like, oh, we're only going down here to get
hardship.
pumped.
Yeah.
It's not. They view it as something that's really good for their club. They're amateur clubs. They can put it online that they're playing in these games and that they've made it, to this far. And even though the games might not turn out that great, it's not like they don't expect that. It's not like they're going down with these false hopes or whatever. So I don't see who it hurts. And like, if it's happened before, I think maybe once, is if that club gets a home game, it's so much more beneficial. Like, they could sell out their little stadium that they play in, or whatever they play in, they can sell it out, and they can really promote it within their club. So I don't really see who it hurts. And in terms of the quality of the game, I actually put the quality of the game kind of pressure. I put it way more on the professional teams than the amateur. Like, if you watch the first half of that St Mirren Plymouth game, you could say it was because St Mirren were playing well, and yeah, they were. But if Plymouth come ready to play, or if any of these BBL teams come ready to play and are switched on, they can put on a show. They can put on a show for their home crowd, or they can put on a show for the crowd in Scotland or Wales or wherever you're talking about. So it's up to them to play that game the way they should play it. If they play it at 50%, if they play down to the level of their competitors, that's what makes the ugly games, know? So that's kind of my opinion on it.
Nice ads, my man.
Said it for years. Don't think there should be a cup and a trophy. No point. But the whichever one that they do have, you do it as they do the FA Cup, where anyone from National League, maybe D2, or the equivalent up in Scotland can enter it, and it progresses the way that. Even if you have, like in the FA Cup, the bigger teams don't come into the third round, so you do it a bit like that. But hey, I've seen it happen. I've seen Worthing come to Manchester and beat Manchester. You know what I mean? And
Solent made a final, didn't they?
Yeah. What people forget is that in D1 down here, because I obviously commentate the Magic games, there's games sometimes you're commentating where there can be, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys that are all BBL standard, that have played in the BBL, could probably play in the BBL, etc., etc. So, I just see it as it's a great chance for a Solent to get to a final and, like Johnny said, really promote their club. For the teams below that, the chances of a D2 team or a D3 team causing a major upset are not very likely, but still it's exposure for the game, it's exposure for them. I just think that, to make it a really, then a huge sellout final like they always have in January at Birmingham, rather than the other ones. Isn't that up in Glasgow, the other final?
Trophy final, yeah.
But isn't it in a much smaller arena than the one that they do the Birmingham one in?
6,000 seater.
Yeah, so I mean, the National Indoor Arena, last year there was 6. I think it broke a record, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it did.
Yeah, and then we were at the O2, and that was full. So you hype it up even more and make it like the FA Cup final. You have it sort of towards the end of the season, where there's been some great games before it, and it gives teams a chance to cause a few upsets. It makes it more exciting too.
Yeah, I basically had exactly what you said. I think almost in a way like the more the merrier, but like you say, because of it's that there's a word that knocks around at Plymouth at the moment, and it's pathway. And the pathway is for younger players to make their way through to eventually play for the professional Pats team. But there's no reason why something like that can't affect, say, St Mirren. If it had been a away game at St Mirren, and some of the younger St Mirren fans could have been there, watched that, they would see a route to where they could get to the standard where you're professional. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But I agree. I like the idea of like proper like the FA Cup, like a couple of rounds before the BBL teams come in, maybe one round before the BBL teams come in. You're still going to get some upsets. You're still going to get some of the teams that you maybe wouldn't expect to get to that first round playing a BBL team. And
I think so. You sometimes forget just how many basketball teams there are in this country. Obviously, it'll be slightly different in the Scottish League, but below D1 in National League here, you're in conferences. And then you go down. The further down you go, there's more and more. There's a lot of teams out there, so you could really do it where it wasn't until the third or even fourth round where the BBL clubs come in, and I've always thought it. I just don't understand why they have two cup tournaments, and then it's the randomness of like somebody. I don't know why was St Mirren in it this year.
I think it's the Scottish League champions.
Right, so as Scottish League champions, that's how they qualified. Were Team Wales in it this year?
Yeah, I think they are. They haven't played yet, but I think they're in it, yeah.
Right, okay. Because I'm led to believe that that's something to do with the fact that obviously down the line, Wales want to have a BBL franchise.
Cardiff, apparently.
Yeah.
Rumours, obviously, but yeah.
But, Basketball Wales are movers and shakers. They do. I know people that work for them, and they do a lot of great work down there. So, for them, it's a pathway. I'm not sure I buy into, having a national team, represented in a club tournament, but until they've got an infrastructure where they can.
Well, that's it. Yeah, depends on.
I thought I heard a rumor that the new CEO was going to get rid of the trophy because, again, like we've said, like it's just a duplicate competition.
Yeah,
would make sense.
I'm glad you brought that up, Grant. I didn't want to say it, but that's been strongly suggested.
Well, there we are. The player's perspective is that amongst all of you guys, do you think the same thing? There should just be one cup competition.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think you can find another league in the world that has 4 trophies to be won in one season.
10 teams.
So it doesn't.
10 teams. Thank you. Thank you.
It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think it's actually quite unfortunate because you would assume the trophy would be the one that would fall out, and that's the final that's held up here, which is it's actually quite a nice thing for us to have something up here, but.
I've only got to the final once, Johnny, since it's been in Glasgow.
Been there once and missed out quite a few times, but in a broad sense, like I think League, Cup, playoffs, and that's you.
Well, there we go. That's the first question out of the way. The next question's a little bit long-winded, but I'll get to it. And I don't mean that as disrespect. Questions from Rob Napper. He's on Twitter at Coach Rob K. Would the BBL be better split into 2 conferences, North and South? North would be. He's got quite specific. North would be East and West. Giants, Phoenix, Gladiators, Eagles, and Sharks, and the South would be Riders, Patriots, Flyers, Scorchers, and Lions. Conference teams would play each other 4 times, and non-conference teams twice, which would work out at 36 games in the season. Top 4 would qualify for the playoffs, a little bit like it was, back in the when was that late 90s. Playoffs would be in the O2. The league system, which I to be honest, I don't tend to look at points. So what he's saying here, I agree with it. The league's more like an NBA win-loss record rather than points, and any head-to-head ties that need to be totted up can be. He said, I know it's more like the NBA. However, if the BBL want to encourage fans to home and away games, splitting the conference scenario could perhaps cut down on a lot of journey times. What do you make of that, fellas? Going back to conferences. Ad, you can kick us off.
I just think while you've only got 10 teams, it's just too small to do it. I mean, absolutely, yeah, I support it, have a North Conference and a Southern Conference, but I think that in order for it to work properly and be any good would be to have at least 14 teams, which is probably there'd have been 14 teams back in the 90s when it was like that, wouldn't there,
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Am I going mad here? Or at one point in Scotland, was there an Edinburgh and the Glasgow franchise?
No,
was it always just the Rocks?
Yeah.
Edinburgh, Scottish, and Glasgow. Yeah.
Right, okay. But yeah, I just think that unless you got a league, I mean, even 14 teams isn't a lot when you think about it. You know, ideally you'd have sort of 20 teams, but
20,
we know that we're not anywhere near that. But with 10 teams, I just don't think it really means very much. Do you know what I mean? It's just nah. When there's 14, yeah. Well, there's 10, nah.
Mr. Bunyan, sir?
Yeah, no, I think I agree. Like, the only benefit would be cut down on travel time. Like, that's probably the only benefit. And it probably does mean something for something like us, or maybe someone like Plymouth. You might get a little bit more, I won't say parity, because you don't want to blame travelling on losses. But, you know, there is a lot of travel that's involved for the teams north and south. But no, I don't think there's enough teams, and it does sound a bit too resemblance of the NBA. And I think as far away as you can get from resembling the NBA regular season is a good thing, because that's a shambles in its own right. So I would steer clear of that.
There's far too many games in that season.
The North and South thing, this probably bridges into the last question though, because the one thing that absolutely should be here, and I would hope 777 do something about it, where you can have a North and South thing, is ditch one of the cup things and have an All-Star game.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. I'd love an All-Star game.
And regardless of how many teams you've got, you'd have to split it into two then.
Well, that was something that 777 wanted. They did say that there would be an All-Star.
Yeah, I mean, the All-Star game, it was such a great day back when they used to do it, you know.
It's
I mean,
fun,
it's just fun, and you just get to see, you know, a lot of these guys, I mean, especially now with how athletic some of these guys are, you know, you really got to see a different side to them. I mean, I vividly remember being at the one in Manchester in, I think, 99. And, you know, it was a full house at the arena, 17,000, 18,000 people. And it felt like being at an NBA game.
Do you remember the one in the 90s? It might have been earlier 90s they did, where they lined up about 12 players. And some of them couldn't dunk. So it was like a dunk contest and fancy layup contest. They all had like one go each and were eliminated.
That's funny.
And then some of them then played, obviously, in the second half. They were guys who were playing in the game as well.
So for that reason, North and South, you know, but at the moment it has to be for an All-Star game.
Grant, my man?
Yeah, I'm kind of similar. I think there's not enough teams for that to work. 16 minimum, get rid of the trophy as such, and put an All-Star game of some sort, as long as it was quite a close game. I can't stand watching the NBA All-Star game anymore, because
there's got to be an incentive, isn't there? There's got to be an incentive.
It's 2.5. Nobody plays any sort of defense. You get Steph Curry just shooting threes for the sake of it he does anyway in games, but as long as there was like a...
It sounds just like watching the Giants game to me.
Well, I'm going to zag. I want them to do it. I love it. North-South. I'd love to see it. I'd like to see, obviously, 4, maybe even 6 games between your neighbouring.
But the only thing is how the scheduling worked. You'd end up like, I think it was last season, we ended up playing Sheffield 3 weekends in a row.
Well, you would end up. That would be the downside.
I was going to say, people are acting like we don't play the same teams 4 times in 6 weeks anyway. Like,
well, I seem to remember a couple of seasons ago, it felt like the only teams that Giants played were you guys.
Well, that was because it was a split, wasn't it? It was a cup. It was like, a split north-south.
Can we play someone other than Glasgow?
Yeah, we haven't played Giants at all this season, and the first time we played them was January, and we'll probably play them another 3 times in a month or something. So
true, very true.
The schedules aren't great at the best of times.
Well, there you go. I hope that's answered your question, Rob. Next question is from Ben Clark. Love the show. Appreciate the time you guys spend each week. Oh, thank you very much. Do you think there's a conflict of interest within the league, seeing as London Lions owners own 45% share of the league as a whole? Personally, don't necessarily think it's a bad thing as long as it gets filtered through the league. But I feel like this would be a massive issue in other sports leagues. I'm not sure. Has it happened in any other league? I don't think it has. I don't think something like this would happen in another league. I think he's got a point with that. What do we think? Is there a conflict of interest? Grant, my man, while you're yawning?
It's been a long day. My day started at 7 this morning.
Oh, I beat you. Mine started at 5:30.
Fair enough. Do I think? No, I don't think. I'm saying no, but I don't think there is kind of a conflict of interest. I think you listen to what the new CEO says about there'll be like a central pot of money that will be shared between teams, and you hope that becomes true. And then but it seems also to be a case where teams need to look to increase their revenues themselves, and it's not just going to be centrally backed and pushed that everything comes from the league as such. Or it's going to hopefully we see what London are doing, and obviously the aim for that is to try and raise awareness and whatever else of the league. And we look at what the Timonees have planned for the Gladiators of what they want to do facility wise, and Johnny will know obviously a lot more than me about what kind of plans are, and it's all about making the wee changes now, and hopefully that the future more money comes rolling into the game and everything's a bit better.
Adds one, man.
I go on about it all the time. I mean, when they announced the salary cap thing, I was just baffled by it, because it might as well have read. It might as well have just said at the top of the announcement, "This doesn't affect anybody other than us, but we're just letting you know that salary cap is now gone, and we're just basically going to run a complete mock in terms of what the salaries actually are." So, what was the question? Is it a lot?
A conflict of interest between them owning the team and the league.
How can it not be? Do you know what I mean? You own a team and you own a league. Yeah. You lift the salary cap so that the team that you own can do what it's doing and play in Europe. And then they state that it's because they're starting with one team to generate interest around the league. But I still don't understand how it works.
But all the teams voted to get rid of the salary cap. Like, it was unanimously voted through.
Well, it wasn't unanimous. I know that there was two that actually said no.
Yeah.
8-2 is pretty unanimous.
But, the two that would have said no, again, it's like, well, it's never going to affect them anyway. So, that's my take on it. I still find it all a bit crazy, but it is what it is.
Johnny, my man, do you think there's a conflict of interest there?
Yeah.
You've got to be diplomatic. Oh, no, carry on.
You can't say there's not, and it's mainly because of the salary cap thing. Like, and we're pretending like anybody cared about the salary cap before the announcement was made anyway.
Exactly.
Like why was they don't need to pretend like London cared about the salary cap before it happened, because they didn't. So I think as long as the team that's kind of, just say London or whoever it is, as long as they have the right path and they're guiding the league in the right way, that's the most important thing. And they are. From everything I've seen from what they have done this year, they are a massive bright light for everything that's going on. So if every other team is being held to obviously can't be held to exactly the same standard, but if it's a similar standard that's been asked of them, then that's a positive thing moving forward, because they're doing it the right way for sure.
Yeah, I've basically got essentially what you said. There is, but they're doing good things. They're moving in the right direction. But I put Lions. Lions have got kind of higher goals, if you like. The Euro Cup thing is a big thing. But what I do like is that they've not forgotten about the domestic side of it. It'd be very easy for that team just to throw the best team they've got out in Europe every week and just domestically just put out, the players that don't necessarily play in Europe. They do that to an extent, but you still get to see the Sam Deckers. You still get to see Ruban. You still get to see all their star players when they're fit. They go and they play, and they want to win everything. They want to win everything domestically, which, like I said, it'd be so easy for them just to discard that. But there's an importance to that.
We've played them twice, and I've seen Sam Decker and Kufos twice, so they're not taking it easy against us.
No, there you go. And
Yeah, I'd
you
say
gave them a
especially
really
the
good
first
run
time.
the first time. Yeah, exactly.
The first time their starters played probably the highest minutes they've played all season, over 30 minutes. So, and they don't even play that in Europe games. So, yeah, I reckon Sunday was a wee bit different. We saw a bit more of like Kamagum and Kaboza and stuff. These guys are legit good players as well, though. Let's not forget that. But first time round down in London, when we were minutes away from winning that one, Decker was on the floor 30 plus minutes. So was Ruban. So was Kostas Koufos. So was Zubcic. Like, these guys were all having to play big minutes.
Next question is for our guest, Mr. Johnny Bunyan. It's from Philip Wright. The question is, what are your short-term and long-term ambitions? Not just for yourself, but for the Gladiators as well.
Short-term ambitions are, for the rest of this season, I guess, is the best way to answer that, is to try and climb up the league standings and keep getting on that court whenever Gareth lets me and keep hitting threes. Trying to get this team a bit more together. We're on a bit of a slump right now, so trying to keep everyone together. Hopefully get Ali back and make a little push for the league and maybe for the playoffs. Long term is to try and stay around this team as we hopefully grow into something a lot bigger than what it is just now. In multiple ways as a player, but also as kind of someone who's looking to develop the club as a whole, and kind of be a little bit of a face of the growing club on the male side and on the female side, whatever side that may be. So just to kind of keep myself involved in what is hopefully a really successful next, who knows, 5, 6, 10, 15 years for this club moving forward.
Fantastic. Have you got an ambition to get to get to the position where Gareth is now, to transition into coaching and to take his job one day, maybe?
Need to watch what I'm saying here about taking. I don't know. Like I go back and forth on whether I want to kind of look at kind of coaching a lot of youth basketball, kind of like what my nephews will be involved in now and in the future. And I do have some days where I think I could give this professional stuff a decent run at it as well. So, like, that's what I'm saying about staying involved, whatever path kind of leads me to, whether that is development stuff or whether that's a bit more of the elite side of things. It's something that I want to be involved with. I'm maybe just not picked the correct one yet, or the one I'm certain about yet.
Good man. Well, I reckon you've got a good few years left in here, don't you, fellas?
Oh,
Absolutely.
sure.
As long as I can stand upright and shoot the ball from the 3-point line, then we'll serve some sort of purpose.
So that's what I was just looking at when that question came in. I went, I'm going to go see what Johnny's shooting numbers are for this season, percentage-wise, and hey, still over 42%.
Oh.
Well, the threes are good. Whenever I step inside the 3-point line, it goes to shit. But the 3-point.
Sorry, I wasn't going to mention that.
Yeah, I'll cut that bit out.
All right, we can have a swear word or two.
Oh no, swearing's fine. Right, next up, Philip Wright's actually sent us another question in for everybody. And the question is, as you're aware, 777 have made a huge investment in the BBL with the aim of raising the bar and driving teams to become more professional and attractive to sponsors, spectators, and investors. However, do you feel the standard of officiating games matches that ambition, or do you feel that there is a disconnect between the increased professionalism between teams and the referees' professionalism in games? And if so, what would help narrow this disconnect? He said specifically, the reason I'm asking is because I'm a fan. I'm often left baffled by some of the decisions made by officials with no clear rationale or explanation for the decision, which does on occasion affect the whole game day experience. Wow. Should we unpack that one? I will let Johnny collect his thoughts, because obviously I don't want to get into trouble in answering this one. Grant, my man, we'll let you go first.
I think it's something that you've got to think, well, what can he do to make it better? These guys aren't professional referees as such. They do all have daytime jobs. But then on the other side of the coin, it's, as the league gets better, it also has to get better as well, because even most games I watch, there's a quite a contentious call that you're like, really? I still think there's a massive protection for guys or some players in the league who have been around for ages, and they just seem to look at the ref and they get the whistle blown for them. And
Ramon Fletcher deserved every foul he got in that game.
Certain coaches get away with a lot more than other coaches.
Oh, God, yeah.
And we've all seen examples of games we've been at where you're like, that game has hinged on that call. And one of those $1 million questions is, unless we bring in minimum standards, and I see it in tennis and line judges, like the people that stand at the line at Wimbledon, they don't just turn up for Wimbledon every year. They need to do X amount of hours at smaller events and make themselves up to keep their eye in and their CPDs and all your knowledge stuff. I don't know what a BBL ref has to do every year. I don't know if they need to do anything.
They must have seminars. I think they had seminars on setting screens, because that seems to be the call of the ads, my man. Go on.
I'm still trying to figure out what the question means. I don't get it. So
the league's professionalism is being promoted, and they want it to raise and every team to look more professional. But is there a disconnect between that and the referees and how they're performing?
I'd say yes, but through no fault of the referees. Because I'm sympathetic to the refs in a lot of ways, because I know a lot of refs. We all know referees, and they all say the same thing. It's a difficult job. It's this, that, and the other. But when you think that these guys are travelling all over the country to referee games for £100 a pop, as well as having a full-time job and doing whatever else they do. I mean, I know a couple of BBL refs through the Magic, and they've got kids that are playing ball. They've got full-time jobs, and they're also refereeing, and they're sort of crying out for more help. Do you know what I mean? And it's that difficult thing, because as a club, the Magic, we're trying to sort of promote more kids into doing refereeing courses, and it's nice to see quite a lot of them actually doing it, because it's seen as a sort of a bit of a stiff upper lip type job, isn't it? Being a referee, it's not as cool as playing or being a coach or anything else. But that next generation's got to come from somewhere. But until the league are willing to invest in having full-time referees, then I don't know what else we can expect from them in a nutshell.
You see a lot of now, I know it's a thing that the RFU and rugby do. A lot of former players, they're trying to force a lot of former players into officiating to keep them in the game that way if they're not interested in coaching. Kind of can imagine Johnny running up and down the court and pink again with a whistle around his neck, and I think Johnny would be really good at it.
There's no chance.
But on a serious note, I think it'd be interesting to see if there will be full players out there who come to the end of their career might think, getting whether it's at Division 2, 3, local league level to help out, that officiating might be for them. And then that helps build up the standard because they have the knowledge of being a player in those situations.
Let's get Johnny's opinion on it. What's the feel from the players' perspective?
I mean, I'm really glad that Grant and Adam went first, because they probably tempered what my answer would have been. They've appealed to my better nature with some of their comments, so I try not to go too crazy. But what's the guy's name who tweeted Philip?
Yeah, hold on, Philip Wright.
Yeah, I feel like I wrote the tweet myself. I've said it so many times. If you want everything to be better, you need to hold everything accountable to that standard. And I've been a part of, 300, 400 games in this league, maybe more. And it's shocking how many games can be decided by these referees. And it's the thing that always I think there's a bit of a interesting thing is that when players in particular are mouthing off at referees or blaming referees, people are very quick to say you're blaming the referees for your own mistakes, your team's own shortcomings or whatever. And a lot of times that is true. But what I've realised in my years of playing is that it can't be that can't be the case when every single team says the same thing about these referees. All the players, all the coaches, up and down the country, they say the same thing. Like, we have guys coming up here and say, "Oh, I can't believe these Scottish refs, these guys give you all the calls." Well, we've got 3 technicals this game because we don't think we've got a single call by these guys. Like, so there is a disconnect between players and referees and what gets called in these games. And I don't think that it's fully understood that even 1 or 2 calls can shift a game an unbelievable amount. Like, 1 call against the wrong person can take them out of the game for a 10-minute stretch that will change the game. 1 call against the wrong person can affect their kind of mental attitude towards the game that takes them out of it for the next 10 minutes. Like, I've seen it happen time and time again. And like, in my opinion, there are a handful of referees that are on the circuit, or whatever you would call it, the rotation, that are great, and they do a pretty solid job night in and night out. But there are a lot more that don't reach the standard that I think the league wants to aspire to.
What I just wish it was is, I feel like refs make a decision and then hide behind when a player goes and asks them, "What was it? What have you called me for?" It's just go away from me.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's actually kind of what I was thinking about what Adam said. Is like, it's not so much the calls or their interpretation of the calls; it's the kind of snide looks that you get from these guys when you go to question them. And it's like, come on, mate! Like, I've been playing in this league for 12 years. I've maybe been doing this longer than you, or the same time. So don't say that. Don't look at me as if I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Don't dismiss me like I don't know what I'm talking about. And you look at me with that look, and that makes me want to, call you an F, and then I get a technical for it. It happens all the time.
It's the biggest double-edged sword out there. Do you know what I mean? Because you can totally see it from both sides. Because as players, it must drive you up the freaking wall. And at the same time, I see it. I see it at National League level as well. There's a few people that do National League as well as BBL. It's not so bad in National League because the guys aren't full-time professionals a lot of the time that have played at the level that some of you guys have. So, but yeah, I mean, you see calls that are just out and out insane, where you just like, really?
And I don't even, I'm not even someone who will say that they're biased towards us as a team, because they're not. You were at that game on Friday, Adam, and Fletcher got called for a charge late in the 4th quarter, and our guy was moving. Like, he was moving right, sidestep right across the lane, got called a charge.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just don't. Sometimes
even Fletcher looked a little bit surprised when that one came up. But I mean, yeah, sometimes you see calls where
he was just surprised didn't go his way.
Yeah,
yeah.
What I've got for it is everything you guys are saying, really. But I wrote in capital letters: support the refs. If we want them to perform at the same professional level, you need to make them professional.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they're accountable for what they do. Then they can't say, "No, go away. I don't want to talk to you about why I gave that foul." They're professional now. They need to be accountable for what they've done, but they need the support. Like we said when we did block or goaltend, we all have had a look at that video, and it's taken us about, I don't know, 15, 20 looks at it, multiple looks, just to see whether we think it's a. Imagine they did it in real time, 100%, no chance of reviewing it. And they got to make a decision on the spot, and because it's such a tight decision, there's a no call. There's nothing else they can do.
That's one call. There's also calls where guys take 5 steps before they shoot the ball and don't get called for travel.
Yeah, yeah,
that as well. But this is the amateur sort of nature of the referees we've got at the moment. You're going to get inconsistencies.
But let me just say though as well, fellas, from talking to, I've invited a couple of refs to come on the show. And the only problem that they've got is that they're not sure that they're allowed to come on shows and discuss stuff like this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A mate of mine's actually sort of said he's going to look into it because he's dying to come on the show and sort of give a referee's perspective. But
Johnny will come on that one too.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it. We'll get a few players on and get a referee on. But it's like anything, though, isn't it? It's like. In the NBA, there's been legendary referees, and I always enjoy watching the mic'd up things where you can hear the conversation. I mean, I found a great one once where there's a referee mic'd up in a Bulls game talking to Dennis Rodman. And, he's doing his thing, complaining, and the referee's like, are you serious? I've been doing this for 50 years, Dennis, and you are telling me that I am wrong. And this is like an NBA superstar. But that referee has been doing it for 50 years, earning a lot of money doing it full time. Whereas our guys, finish a day as a painter and decorator and then go on and referee a BBL game with professional athletes. So, where's the balance?
I'm 90. Go on, sorry. Go on, Johnny.
No, I think I don't want to sound like I'm just on here bashing the rest, because that's not sometimes it's what I intend to do, but it's actually not. I think it also depends a lot on the players. Like, there's a difference between the way some players approach these guys. Like, you can't approach them shouting, hands up in the air, swearing. Like, that's disrespectful to approach anyone. It doesn't matter if it's a referee or a player or a coach. That's just disrespectful. But I think it's for the players who maybe do take a tactic off, I want an explanation for what that was or why you did it, and you're still met with a little bit of attitude. That's when things can tip to the other side for me.
Yeah.
Johnny, do you believe that certain players, like the whole thing within the NBA historically, obviously, that guys like Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, those guys got calls. Do you think it's like that here, where Fletch is going to get more calls than a guy like yourself, for example? You know what I mean? You're a British guy playing over here and played a long time. Fletch is a 2-time BBL MVP. Does he get more calls than you?
Yeah, and whether that's subconscious or conscious, I don't know. But the answer is yes. And Fletch isn't even the one that would come to my mind. It's actually someone like Darius Defoe that comes to my mind.
Okay.
This guy sets moving screens, bumps people on every rebound, every cut, and he gets nothing. And as soon as you will bump his 400-pound body, it's a foul. And it's like you're joking with me right now, like, honestly. So yeah, I do think. I mean, I was in the league the first season I ever played for the Rocks. Kelvin Hall, Chris Dodds called 4 fouls on me in 3 minutes, and one of them was a legit. Like, I took a charge off like a 6'8" guy, and my feet were out the key and everything. And it's like, Chris, I know that's the wrong call. So what are you doing? And it was pretty a rough game for me. I didn't play that much, and 4 fouls in 3 minutes or something like that, and I was furious. And I do think it works both ways. The elite guys get calls, other people don't. But then you get young guys, British guys, who get some nonsense called on them just because they stepped on the court. It works both ways.
Well, there you go. Well, we would like to have a referee on the show. Actually, I know Nicholson's got an ex-referee who's keen to come on. So maybe that could be an angle we go at with somebody who's finished.
I should say I actually quite like Chris Dodds now as well. Just to
Hey, I think he's one of the better refs.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's solid. He's a consistent one.
There we go. We got one more question. It's just for Johnny, and then we'll let you go, Johnny. The message is from Bailey, and the message reads, for Johnny, who was a better 3-point shooter? Sniper. He's used the word sniper. You or your brother?
Sorry, I was caught off guard there. My dog's called Bailey. I'm like, how's my dog? To me, Keith will always be the better shooter. Stand still on the 3-point line. I think he's the better shooter than me for sure. Like, when I was 21, 22, and I was still playing for Fury and for Rocks, I would shoot with Keith 2 or 3 times a week, and he would still shoot better than me, even at 36 or whatever age he was. I think I maybe have a bit more to my game. Maybe a bit. I can at least do some things off the dribble. Maybe not a whole lot. A little bit more passing as well. But if you sat us or stood us both on a 3-point line and just took 50 shots, I think he makes 44 and I make 43.
Very diplomatic. Do you guys have an opinion on this?
I'm trying to quickly be the stat geek to look.
Well, that's what I'm doing now.
You did it right now.
Yeah, I've got Johnny's. I'm just trying to work out Keith.
I've seen you both shoot, and you always think these things when you think history, like, oh, Keith made some big threes, and he was obviously on a title winning or a playoff winning team. But But I've obviously seen. I wonder how many of your home games I've missed watching you play, Johnny. Oh, is it close?
It's quite close.
But I would say, just what you said, you've got more off the dribble and probably a better defender as well. So
Only recently. I've not been much of a defender, but I can do a little bit now.
what is it, Pabs? Tell us.
So I was trying to work out the off of how many was attempted as well, just to be a real geek, which I am, unfortunately. I apologise. So Keith, off of just over 2.5 3-point attempts a game, he was 37.95%, which is very impressive. And if I scroll back, he's leaned in. Look, Johnny's leaned in for this. This is like when they on Top Gear when they used to give you your
I've actually
scores.
leaned in because I always want to know where these historic BBL stat sites are that nobody has access to.
That's taken me a while.
Johnny, Pabs has created his own. This is some resource. See the stuff I put out on social media about people's career stats. I don't know if you've seen the one I did with Moritz Waller today. Yeah. Only way I'm able to do that is because of that man there.
Now, I had help from Dave Owens as well. He's got a real great resource. Johnny, you shot about the same in terms of 3-point attempts, just over 2.5. But your percentage is 39.61.
Yeah, just
so there you go.
Ever so slightly. Maybe I was left a bit more open for longer than he was.
You, of course, in your 11th season now as well, which I think that adds to the because I've always said like someone like Russ Saunders who's up there in terms of points per game. He played his entire he played like 9 seasons, and you expect things to kind of tail off and drop off towards the end and affect your overall stats. But he was that good. Your 3-point shooting is testament to that. Like you've played almost twice as many seasons, and your shot percentage is obviously higher. So
yeah, I actually think I've definitely kind of somehow got to be a better shooter as I've grown older, and definitely playing last year with like guys like JJ who could just find you open at any minute. Like I had a couple of 20-point games last year, which is something I couldn't really say very often in my career. So yeah, it's always great when you play with the right people who are going to find you open, and even occasionally if I can get my own shot off, which is a bit rare, but it happens sometimes.
Well, there you are. I noticed as well that you one season in the league, you shot the ball 48.3%.
Yeah,
that was the COVID season, I think.
No, I think it was maybe the year before that.
Oh, was it? I've got 1920.
1920. That was the year they got cancelled.
Was it really? 48?
48.3% off 2.2 threes attempted.
Greg Pryor, Dante Thorpe.
45.1% off 2.6 shots per game.
Can I ask Johnny a question?
Go. We'll wrap things up with Johnny, but go.
We've got an ex-owner who claimed the league that year, but how good was playing for that team in 1920 before the COVID year?
Yeah, that was
under Vincent Lavande as well.
That was probably the highlight season, to be honest. The team was great. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great guys on it, but Vincent was a whole nother level of coach. Like a maniac, but like a lovable maniac who could get the best out of you and who wanted the best for you and for the team and for everyone. So it was a great experience, and I'll probably never forget the whatever it ended up being 16, 18 months that Vincent was involved with this club. It was brilliant.
You guys were my pick that season, and I wasn't quite as vocal as the owner at the time. But I thought you guys were quids in for that season. It's a shame. Go on, Ads.
Before you go, Johnny, I've got a question for you. I don't know it's a really obvious, basic question, but I love asking players this. Best player you've ever played with?
Oh, yeah.
Best player you've ever seen in the BBL?
The best player, I usually say about 3 different people for the best player I've played with.
What's
that, Grant?
All your pals.
Yeah, Fraser Alley and G. No, definitely in terms of like import, Michael Green, who played in my first season, maybe he was a little bit of everything. He was a great player. Donald Robinson, second season, was a great player, and last year Jordan Johnson, just more for the kind of the person he was and the teammate he was unbelievable. And then he always knew where everyone was on the court. So import wise, it would be those three guys. Kind of Scottish players, I always think Ali is a totally unique force of basketball that is very hard to replicate, and I don't think many British players can replicate what Ali is. And then played against Sam Decker is the most the most kind of I don't know, just complete package I've ever seen on the court as a basketball.
Just different gravy.
Yeah, he's a different level than I think anyone who's played in the league ever before.
Really?
Because I think he's going about 75% and still better than everyone. For me, Garden players, like, I never even wanted to mess with Gino. Like, he had way too much for everyone. And there was a guy actually in the league a while ago called Mike DeNuno.
Yes,
played for Cheshire, and that guy he could have 30 and tell you he was going to have 30 on you instantly.
He's scared.
What's that, Grant?
He was a scary team to look at.
Yeah, he was a scary guy to play against, to look at everything, and it must be something about bald guys, because Fletcher back in the day as well. Like I've kind of grown up with Fletcher, so I've learned a couple of things to maybe stop him, but like you can't really stop him very much. He's pretty good as well.
Good man.
Pabs will be happy you said Fletcher. He's a big Pabs is a big Fletcher fan.
Listen, I'm an advocate. of people like yourself who give our league, the best years.
Yeah.
And he's got the silverware, he's got the MVPs.
And he's a good guy. I remember after a cup final I played against him, and I cut him off left hand, cut him off right hand. He actually jumped midair, shooting with his left, changed to right in midair, and made it. And he landed, and he said, "Oh, you can't guard me." And I said, "Fletch, I know I can." And ever since that game on, every time I see him, he's been like the nicest guy to me, and we always talk before and after the game. So yeah, he's a good guy.
Fantastic stuff. Good stuff. Well, thank you very much, fellas. You obviously want to say thank you as well, but thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for coming on. It's been great having you on. It's been great having the players' perspective, but it's just been great having a BBL legend on. It's fantastic.
No, honestly, there's a lot of people in the team might say that I don't talk about basketball very much, but it's always nice to talk about guys who like the game and who are so invested in the crazy world of British basketball. So yeah, it was good to have a good chat.
Appreciate it. As my man, I decided Johnny.
Johnny, it was great to meet you on Friday, knowing that you're going to be on the show on Monday. But seriously, without blowing too much smoke, it's guys like you that, stalwarts in the BBL that you just love to see year in, year out. You know what I mean? And just massive respect for your career and everything you've done up there. It's great.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks very much.
Grant, do you want to say anything? I mean, obviously, you probably only live around the corner, don't you?
It's a small place, Scotland. No, Johnny, class. Thank you for doing this. We were talking about it. It may have only been last week. I think it was actually midway recording last week's show. We were talking about it. I was like, Johnny's ideal for this. I'm sure if he would happily do it. So no, thank you. That was brilliant. And yeah, good luck with the rest of the season, dude.
Oh, of course, guys. If you're a couple of years down the line, if you want to do it again, if you're still going strong, then just give me a call or a text, whatever you need.
Oh, we'll keep a little window open for you, 100%.
Cheers, guys.
Future member of the team. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, there we are. Johnny Bunyan has come and gone. Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
I can just say I love talking to guys like that because, they've never sort of been the superstars of the league, but they're the guys that have seen every superstar, played with the superstars, played against him, and they're still playing a game. You know what I mean? And it's guys like that that are the backbone of the sport.
Bread and butter. Yeah.
Love
He's
it.
won it. I think I've now, if you include this podcast, I've spoken to him 3 or 4 times in recordings, and they're always brilliant. Yeah. Johnny's like his knowledge of this league and what he's seen, who he's seen, and where he's been, and how he shoots. He was always. I remember him being so underrated coming through because of his height and being a wee Scottish kid. But hey, he's proved a lot of people wrong. You don't leave Johnny Bunyan open on a 3-point line, that's for sure. And as he says, last season especially got a lot of big scoring nights, and yeah, he's a brilliant guy. So cheers, Johnny, for coming on tonight.
You should send in the stats link.
Yeah, do you want me to? I can do
Yeah,
that.
do it. I'm down 100% because I didn't realize. I always assumed players had access to that kind of stuff, but obviously not. Let's run through the league table quickly before we do our predictions and whatnot. Lions are joint top with 26 points with the Bristol Flyers, who obviously had a very strong weekend. And they themselves tweeted the question, are we legit? Yeah, I think they are. I think we can safely say they are.
If it wasn't for Johnny coming on, that would have definitely been a topic tonight.
Just behind them, on a game behind Leicester Riders, that's in third. Fourth, Cheshire Phoenix on their own. They've had a great run of late as well. They've looked incredibly impressive. And of course, hit a Plymouth team that was lacking in bodies, but those bodies are rapidly being replaced. Giants and Gladiators and Patriots all on 16 points. That's 5th, 6th and 7th spots. Gladiators had a chance to put a couple of points between them and the Patriots at least, but obviously slipped up at the weekend. Sharks now...
I said that last week. I said Gladiators could easily go and maybe get a win both or split, or could go and lose both games and makes that midfield battle outside the top one team, then the 2 and 3 team, quite a big gap. So
yeah, fourth down. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sharks then starting to flounder a little bit. They're a couple of games behind the Patriots, and they've played one extra game as well. So they're down there in 8th. Eagles starting to really chip away at everyone now. They've got a bit of form going, and good on them. They're 5 and 11. They're in the 9th spot, and the Scorchers continue the woes, but obviously we'll see them in action again soon and see what they can do with that squad. It's easy to say. It looks like they may have turned a corner, that they get that squad playing. We'll see what happens, but at the moment they're being kind of left behind for the 9 teams above them. We'll see how things unfold when we come back, obviously, next week. Let's 6:44. Should we? It's only 6 minutes. Should we try and do BTR5 and then come back?
Go for it.
We won't take that long to do this, I don't think. Well, we'll see. Okay, time for the BTR 5. 5 players we pick that stood out to us. Doesn't necessarily need to be statistically. They certainly don't need to be on the winning team. 5, Nicholson's mailed his in, because obviously he's not here. He's mailed in Teague, VJ King, Larry Austin. I've written that down. Oh no, Cone from the Eagles, and Dirk Williams. I must admit, I'm kind of with most of that, specifically Dirk. I've got Ramon instead of Teague because I thought he was instrumental for the Giants, particularly in the late in the game. Fellas, chuck some names out.
I can't really argue with much of that. Having been on from London, Hufos just was insane inside, but I don't feel like he got the press it deserved, actually, because it kind of went. I didn't pop up massive on my social media over the week.
No.
I seen that their coach had got Coach of the Month, but Kufos won Player of the Month for the league, and he was phenomenal. I actually seen him live in the flesh. Johnny touched on how good Sam Decker was, and he was brilliant, but Kufos was just different. Like 4 blocks in 17 minutes, 12 points.
So big, isn't he?
And just his touch. He did, in fairness, which may relegate him from my thoughts right now, he did have an air ball from about 3 meters away from the basket. You're like, he is human. But yeah, they were brilliant to watch. And actually, I'm trying to think, could I pick some from London? But it'd be Kufos if that, but no better than the others. Dirk Williams was different. He's different class. I'd have Ramon in there maybe ahead of Teague, but I didn't watch the Cheshire games as closely as maybe you guys. But you look at VJ King from the weekend. Oh my God. That guy.
He's putting it together nicely, isn't
he? He's coming together nicely and actually makes that team.
It's a hell of a pickup.
Yeah. Because I'm a big Watson Gale fan, and I think the two of them on that Bristol court, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant to watch. So, Cohen I'm happy with.
Yeah.
VJ King, Dirk Williams. I'd have Ramon in there as well.
1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got 4, I think, that are pretty definite. King, Cone, Williams, Dirk Williams, that is, Ramon Fletcher. 2 more to fill. With Larry Austin was obviously mentioned by Nicholson. Is it 2 more or 1 more to fill? 1 more to fill, sorry. Larry Austin was the one mentioned by Nicholson for his performance for the Phoenix.
I'm just going to put in my wild card that goes in every team of the week I ever do. Mark Loving.
He had a good game.
He did. He hit a lovely turnaround jump shot, which kept them in touch with Bristol, to be honest with you, at one point. But yeah, 25 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, index 31 on a losing team. I'm happy with that, actually.
The only other recognition I want to give out is to one of the youngsters in the Gladiators team. It doesn't need to be in our VTR5, but Will Kemp got some big, or not big minutes, but good minutes against London yesterday. And one experience for guys, 19, 7 minutes, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. And hopefully, I don't know if you would have seen it on some of the social media, but he drove inside, drew the and one foul, like proper, like experienced. You'd say if that was a Ramon, you'd be like, wow. Like finished, went with his left hand, and you're like, this kid's quite well regarded up here, so hopefully we'll get to know and see him more, get more minutes as time goes on. But he was brilliant in his limited action off the bench as a young guy in such a big time match.
Good man. There you go. So our 5, VJ King, Ramon Fletcher, Dirk Williams, Mark Lovin, and who have I missed off? Cone from the Eagles for their performance at the weekend. That's done. Let's move on. Okay, it's predictions time. Nicholson's mailed his in. Can one of you read? I think you did it in the group chat. If one of you could read them.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Rattle around. Let's go through quickly what happened. Obviously, last week, Gladiators Giants. So Ads had Giants. Nicholson also had the Giants. They get a point each for that. Me and Grant don't. Scorchers Eagles, and of course the Eagles got another win, another close game, but nonetheless a win for them. So I get nothing for that one because I went with the Scorchers. You guys went Eagles. Well done. Flyers Riders. I was the only one who went for the Flyers. Everyone else went Riders. Lions Gladiators. Oh, Grant had to. I mean, dedicated. Went for it. What's the next one? Flyers Giants, which wasn't as close. Tough one for the Giants, that one. But myself and Nicholson both had the Flyers.
I've had an awful week.
Grant and Ads didn't. We all picked Nicks except for Nicholson, and Nicholson had inside information. So that's madness, isn't it? He's so dedicated to the Patriots. Absolute madness. So let's total up quickly. 47. So 51 for Nicholson. Grant. Oh, you only got 2 in this one, so you're 49 now.
How many did Paul get right?
4.
I thought you only got 3. Okay.
Ads, you picked up 4 wins. You're on 44 now. And I picked up 4 wins. I'm on 48. Yeah. So Nicholson's in the lead for 51. Then Grant 49. Then me 48. And then Ads 44. It's close. Certainly all to play for still.
Bad week for me.
It is a bad week for you, but you deserve one because you've had a couple of good weeks. So let's head for this week's fixtures. We didn't do the trophy. Should we leave the trophy games?
That's all there is.
Oh God, yeah, it is, isn't it? Oh well, we should do them. If there's any upsets, it could be interesting. Or we could just, yeah. Let's do that. Okay, so the first one up, the 12th 7:30 tip BBL Trophy. Lions at home, Worthing Thunder The visitors. I'm going out on a limb here. All Lions, yeah.
Yeah,
We could really stitch Nicholson up now. What did Nicholson choose?
he chose Lions too.
That's a shame. I thought you could have messed with him a bit there. You're the one reading out his thing.
I know.
Never mind.
He kept really upset though.
13th. So that was the only game on the 12th. 13th. Bristol Flyers at home. Surrey Scorchers. A BBL clash in the trophy. Flyers or Scorchers? Grant, my man.
I think Flyers, you've got to say, home team, great at home, brilliant weekend, winning two. Let's be honest, 2 tough games. Bristol all day winning that one, I think.
Nick, what's Nicholson going for?
Bristol.
Ads, my man, where you going?
Bristol.
Yeah, I can't zag. I'm afraid. I feel like I'd lose the chase somewhat if I did that. Okay, next up, Caledonia Gladiators, Newcastle Eagles. Another BBL affair in this one. Let's go Nicholson first. What's he put down?
He's on Gladiators.
We'll go Ads next.
Who? Gladiators, isn't it?
Eagles.
Gladiators.
Yeah, I'm going to go Gladiators as well. Although the Eagles have impressed somewhat. Grant. Silly question.
Gladiators.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were just missing me out there because you just assumed you would.
I left you
know
to
what it
last because
is.
I knew he'd say next one. Oh, this done. Derby Trailblazers at home. Basketball Wales visiting. We'll go in Trailblazers on this one.
Yeah, and so did Nicholson.
Blazers across the board. It's easy to copy and paste that, isn't it? We'll do the 15th as well. 3 more BBL trophy fixtures. Bear with us, we're almost there. Sharks at home. Thames Valley Cavaliers visitors. I don't know too much about the Cavaliers, but I'm going to go Sharks. Is there room for an upset there? Ads, you know a bit about NBL. What we got?
Yeah, I mean they're a decent team. It's the Sharks, you know what I mean? They've been that streaky this year. I mean, the only reason I'm going to stick with them and not gamble is because I need to get my points up in this a little bit. Getting beaten, so I'm going to stick with Sheffield and not try and be a smart ass.
Just think if you'd zag on that one, you'd get a point. Everyone else would be... Anyway, go on, my man.
Yeah, I'm staying with the Sharks.
Nicholson's gone with Cavs, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Those Sheffield Sharks. No.
Giants. Oh, the BBL clash.
This is the big one, I think.
This is a good one. Giants at home. We've started to get a bit of form back together, let's be honest. And William Lee showing signs that he may be on the mend. Taking on the Leicester Riders in Manchester. Let's go with Ads first. What you got, Ads? Tough call.
Well, I mean, William Lee's obviously going to want to put in a shift against Leicester, isn't he? It is a big game. I mean, God, Giants could beat them, but they've got to play some defense. You know what I mean? I mean, Vince I don't know if you saw my post game with Vince the other day, where he basically said that he follows the Billy Mims textbook of, whatever to defense and score more points. But this is Leicester, do you know what I mean? They're so loaded. You know.
Head and heart.
If it helps you decide, Nicholson's gone Giants too.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go with Giants because I think that this is one where they know that they've got a real chance at winning something this year. You know what I mean? And this is a good opportunity to do so. So,
You're
where are you going, Pabs?
I'm going Giants.
I'm zagging then. I was zagging. I was hoping you were going to say that I was going Leicester, so I was delighted that one.
Another NBL team that for me in particular is an unknown. Cheshire Phoenix at home. Nottingham Hoods are the visitors. What's Nicholson going for that one?
Cheshire.
Are we all going Cheshire, or is there any zags on that?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to try. I need to get my points up, so I'm going with Cheshire. But Nottingham Hoods are a good team. I've seen them a bunch of times before now. Yeah, they're a really good organisation and a good team. They actually, believe it or not, I think they actually have sponsorship with McDonald's in Nottingham.
I think you're right. I think I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, like they're seriously like there's a McDonald's that's all over him, and they have him up in the restaurant and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, they're like a bit of a cult team, the Nottingham Hoods, and they've had some good guys. In fact, Tintin played for him for a long time, I think.
Oh.
David Watt.
Kyle Jimenez played for them last season as well, last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
I just like the name, Nottingham Hoods. Great name.
Yeah.
Great name, with Robin Hood and everything. Yeah. They should play green though, really. Well, there we are. I think that's just about done it for us. I think we've covered all areas. Some in more detail than others, let's be honest, but that's always us. There you go. Fellas, thanks for coming on. Ads, my man, anything to plug before we go?
No, I'm really looking forward to the it's been a busy weekend basketball-wise. Got 2 Giants games, and it's going to be, this Leicester game is going to be some game, I think. I'm looking forward to it. But
good, man.
The biggest game for me this week is the Manchester Mystics under-14s 2 play under-14s 1.
Oh, it was a close battle last time, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, the battle is on. The rematch is here. Teams are fired up. Anything could happen.
Well, we need a rundown of that when we come back next week. 100%.
Yep.
We should have done predictions on that. That would have been fun. Grant, my man, any guests coming up on the Gladcast this week?
Oh, we had a good one with Chantel Handy. She was brilliant. So if you've not listened to that one, check that out in Gladcast Basketball across all major podcast sites as well as this show.
Chantel's brilliant, man. I've interviewed her so many times. She's absolutely brilliant.
She was brilliant. She was great to talk to.
Yeah, she's one of my favourite people, Chantel. And anytime that I see her, she's always great and more than happy to chat. And I've interviewed her in the middle of tournaments, when they were at Eurobasket, I think I interviewed her, what I mean? She's always got the time, and yeah, just what a great human being Chantel Handy is.
Yeah, she was brilliant, and she also, it wasn't until afterwards I went, Chantel, I'm so sorry, we've recorded this during London's game on Wednesday or Thursday night when they were playing in Europe, and obviously she's big pals with some of the girls in that London roster, and she was like, it's fine, I can just watch the stream was rubbish, it's fine. But no, so props to her for doing that. And I've got Kyle Jimenez, and
nice.
hopefully we'll get the brand new owners of the Gladiators on the show in the coming week. So that's a bit of a fingers crossed, and hopefully we can all look forward to that one, because that'll be a good one.
Exciting. Yeah, we'll look out for that one. I've got to say as well, actually, apologies to anybody who listens on Apple Podcasts. For some reason, the RSS feed stopped working, so I copied and pasted the new one in. It's all up there again now. So that's the Christmas show. And I have to say as well, I apologise, the Christmas show will be going onto YouTube soon. I still haven't finished editing it. It's quite fun. I'm going to put it up anyway. I won't save it till next year. But we'll get planning on next year's Christmas show now, because we've not got that long.
And thanks again for Johnny for tonight. That was brilliant.
Yeah, good man. We'll definitely have him as a member of the Below the Rim crew in about 15 years when he retires, because it'll probably be that long. Yeah. Anyway, thanks guys for joining me. Thanks everybody at home for listening. We'll be back next week. Until then, take it easy. We'll speak to you soon.
Speaking slang, got your virgin arm telling us you don't need a man. So what does that mean? I've been a little bit fucked lately, and I don't wanna be another stereotype. I gotta grow up, man, it's really fucked. 80 years old, thinking about end of my life. I don't give a fuck for your judgment. You're lucky I only throw punches when I rate. So fucking selfish, I'll admit it. That's why this is scripted. I'm not talented or gifted or up and coming. I'm just obsessed with stressing, fucking running for my lifestyle that I've hated for a while. But I pushed everybody that ever meant anything to me. I wages wanted to get my dick sucked. Always trying to crack jokes, little sick fuck. Why can't I just appreciate life and smile? If you hate me, it's mutual. The sound of your body hitting the ground would be beautiful. I'm like a movable object in God's head.